Hello everyone. So far, I have discussed the concept of a linear vector space, and it is a very useful one because in that setting it is possible to define many of the standard concepts that are useful in the engineering, such as linear operators and linear dependence. It is also possible to study the existence and uniqueness of the solution of linear algebraic equation. We have already seen these kind of things during our previous discussion. So let us try to summarize the advantage of the notion of vector space in engineering. So let us try to write advantage of notion of vector space in engineering. And what we found that I can define the concept of linear operators, and based on these linear operators it is possible to show that whole linear control theory, linear system theory, or several branches of engineering where some linear phenomena occurs, one can capture using this notion, means notion of vector space. And I can also able to talk about linear dependence. So I am just writing the broad topics. I am not going to the application, because if you are talking about linear operator, at that time one can also talk about all kind of transform, such as Laplace transform, Fourier transform, these kind of things one can talk. We have already seen the Taylor series expansion. So these kind of concepts all are involved in this linear operator. And after that, linear dependence along with basis gives us lot of scope to represent some system in different coordinate form. So due to that reason, these notions has several advantages. After that, during the column space, we have seen that I can also able to talk about the existence and uniqueness of the solution. So let us write that point here. So it is possible to write, so possible to study the existence and uniqueness of solution to linear algebraic equation. And what we have seen that if I have something like ax equal to b, and if I represent ax equal to b like some kind of interpretation such that if b fall in the column space of matrix A, then one can give guarantee that there exists a solution, and whatever solution that is going to exist, that is also unique. So in this way we are able to talk about existence and uniqueness. So that are the some advantage. Apart from this, we have several advantage. Now let us talk about some kind of major limitation of the above concept. Limitation here that whatever these concept is not able to cover. So let us write major limitation. So the limitation is that there is no notion of distance or proximity in a linear vector space. So whenever there is no notion of distance or proximity, means nearness in the space, time or relationship, then it is not possible to talk about the convergence and continuity. And in engineering problem, convergence is very important, because most of time we are telling that whatever error, so sequence of error is going to converge somewhere, or sequence of error is tending towards some zero value, or these kind of concepts are required. But just using the notion of linear vector space, we are unable to deal that kind of things. So let us try to highlight the limitation. So first limitation is there is no notion of the distance or proximity. And meaning of proximity, if you check the grammar, that is nearness in space time or relationship, that is called proximity. In linear vector space, and due to this limitation I cannot, so hence it is not possible to discuss concept such as two concepts I have already talked, that is very much important, that is convergence or continuity. So after introducing the new notion, we are try to inbuild some more concept inside vector space such that these two things will cover. Because in absence of convergence or continuity, we are unable to talk about lot of things. So due to this limitation, is the motivation for introducing the notion of norm linear space. So whatever new notion I am going to coin, so which is basically a linear vector space, because we have already developed a lot of theory, so we are not going to forget about that. So on top of that theory, we are going to put the measure of the length of vector. So now let us first write the motivation of introducing the new notion. So now motivation for introducing the notion of a norm linear space. So that is motivation of this is the linear vector space plus a measure of the length of a vector. So now whatever notion that is called norm linear space I am going to introduce, that contains now the all properties of linear vector space as well as the notion of length or notion of distance, later we will see. And due to that reason, we are getting several advantages. And if you see the engineering problems, so I think that almost all engineering problem requires these kind of notions. So due to that reason, this is one of the most important part of this course. So before going to linear vector space, let us try to talk about some notion of length or distance. So here length is nothing but the notion of distance. So I am going to talk about some more generalized setting than linear vector space plus a measure of length, because what we have observed that vector space itself a set where we have vectors, a scalar, and two operations. One operation is called vector addition and another is scalar multiplication. So suppose that I have some generalized quantity that is called set, now set may satisfy the property of linear vector space or may not be. Then also I can introduce the notion of the distance, and after that first I will just discuss the definition, generalized definition, and after that I will move to our compact definition where set is nothing but linear vector space. So let us define first the more generalized notion, and that is the notion of metric space, that is called metric space. So a metric space is a set in which we can talk the distance between any two of its element. So suppose that I have some set, and in this space I have one notion of the length, or you can tell the distance, such that I am able to define the distance between any two of its element. And obviously whenever I am going to impose the notion of distance, it will satisfy the restrictions or some kind of assumptions whatever involved during the calculation of the distance. So basically let us write this point: a metric space is a set in which we can talk of the distance between any two of its element. So that is the meaning of metric space. So let us now define the metric space. So let us come to the formal definition. So definition of metric space. So definition is like this: since in order to define the metric space I need two quantity, any arbitrary set together with distance. So let X be a non-empty set. So I am assuming that inside set at least I have one element, and now I am going to talk about the distance. So if you see the distance, so that is the function, means somehow whenever we are defining function, then we are talking about some kind of machine which will convert input to the output. So I have D, and so X, and this notion is Cartesian product operated on X, and after that they are going to generate some kind of real number is said to be a metric, because in order to define the distance I need at least two element. So how to select two element? So I am telling that all possible two element I have notion of the distance, And how to represent all possible element? Just by Cartesian product of two sets. So due to that reason, in order to define the distance, I have taken Cartesian product of two sets, and since I am interested in the distance between element of the same set, due to that reason I have taken Cartesian product of x with itself, and I am hoping that this function d is mapped back to some kind of real number, and it is also called the metric or a distance function. So somehow whenever we are talking about distance, then that always belongs to one dimension, because finally whatever things that is going to map to the real number. And we have already seen that R, what is meaning of R1? So R1 is one dimensional space, and I have already talked a lot about one dimensional space. So distance function on x if d satisfies the following properties. And whenever I am talking about the distance, then I have certain intuition that suppose that you are at certain point, and so for example that you are here, and suppose there exists some object here that is A, and you have another object that is going to lie here that is B. So suppose that if someone asks you that what is distance of the object A, and suppose you are telling okay this is plus 5 kilometer, and suppose that if someone asked you that what is distance of B, at the same time you never tell that is minus 7 kilometer. You are always telling again the same thing, that is 7 kilometer. So you can see that I am not involving the distance, we are not involving the sign during the notion of the distance. So same kind of property should be inferred from here. Another point is like this: suppose that if object is exactly here at the origin, then I am always going to tell that distance is just 0. So that is the another property. And what is third property? Suppose that you have certain point, and if all 3 points are lie on some kind of triangle, then it is possible to show that one side is always less than the addition of two other side. So that is the property of the distance. So based on that property, now I am going to specify the properties. So this is just for intuition. So during the definition, just remove this. So now let us write the property. So our properties, so first properties, that whatever I have discussed, that distance between 2 point x and y is always greater than 0, because I have told you that I am not going to distinguish that what is position of object. We are just interested in the quantity, that how far it is from our position. So for all x and y belongs to that particular set, and if that point at the same location, and this is possible, so if and only if x equal to y, it means that if x is exactly equal to y, then distance between x and y equal to 0, and vice versa. If distance is 0, then that is, one can also tell that x equal to y. That is the property of the distance. So any function which will satisfy this property, at least we can assume that will satisfy the property of the distance, provided they will also satisfy another two property. So second property is the dxy equal to dyx. So distance, either you can measure from x to y or y to x, that doesn't matter for us. So that is again another property of the distance, and these 2 points again belongs to the same set. And third property, that is from the triangular inequality. So suppose that I have 2 points x and z, then it is possible to show that x plus dy z, and this is very standard inequality. So now I am assuming that this inequality is going to satisfy during the definition of the metric, and this known as the triangular inequality. So this about the property, and now I have the pair, so I have the set together with D, and this is then called, so whatever distance that will satisfy these three properties, then we can tell this as a metric space. And after definition, I am going to give you the most important example of the metric space, and almost everywhere the basic element is basically that particular metric only. So the most important example is the set of real numbers we are denoting by R, and now we have to define the notion of metric also, or distance. So I am defining distance function like this, dxy, and that is x minus y, where this symbol, two straight line, whatever I have put, that is, this is the symbol of the absolute value. And I hope you are all well aware about this symbol, recall the absolute value of a real number so that is like this: x, if x is greater than 0, minus x if x is less than 0, and equal to 0 if x is 0. And it is very easy to check that this distance or absolute value will satisfy all the three properties. So since I have defined like this, so first property is obvious, and if x and y equal to 0, then that is 0. Either you can calculate x minus y or y minus x, again things remains the same. And one can also see the triangular inequality. Due to that reason, I am not going to check all the property. So basically, now what is our metric space? So if you talk about metric space in this example, so my metric space is the set of real number together with this distance, that is called absolute value. So this is the one of the most important metric space which we are going to use in generation of the next spaces. Why I am telling this is one of the most important metric space? Because we have already seen that somehow whatever system I am going to consider in this course, that is this system are going to take the real data. So data may be in form of vectors and real data as a input, and after that they are going to generate real data as a output. So and this input and output data I can represent. How basically we are representing the input output? So representation of input and output, we are either representing using column vectors, using some kind of matrices, so or some kind of functions. So I have a space of column vectors, a space of matrix, a space of the functions. And if you see underlining object, everywhere there exists the real number. So somehow if you see any column vector, so I have nothing but that is collection of the real number. Similarly, if you see the matrix, so whatever element of the matrix, that is the some set of real number, and similar thing I can generalize about the function also. So due to that reason, I am telling that whatever metric I have defined over the real number with the notion of absolute value, that is the primitive one. Now let us try to talk about the specialized set. Specialized set means I am going to talk about the those kind of set where I have vectors. So vectors may be in form of column, may be in form of matrix, may be in form of function, and scalars, that is real number, and I have two operations, that is the vector addition and scalar multiplication. So my set is nothing but the linear vector space. So now I am going to talk about I have selected the set. So set contain the linear space, or you can also tell the vector space. So I have vectors, I have f, and I have two operations, and this is nothing but real number. After that I have the some notion of the distance plus notion of the length or distance, you can tell. So this is nothing but the metric, and using this I am going to define the next definition, that is called a normed linear space. So a normed linear space is nothing but linear space together with the notion of the length of a vectors in that space. So let us come to the formal definition again. So definition of a normed linear space. So basically metric space is more general, and apart from that I am going to specify the very specific space inside that is called normed linear space. So a normed linear space is an ordered pair, and now our ordered pair contains again some x, and here that is the generalization of distance, that is called norm, where x is a linear vector space, and this notion, if I apply on the linear vector space, again that is going to map to the real number, is a real valued function, and if I have input and output, and I have to define function, then you already know that in infinite many way I can define the real valued function. So in infinite many way I can define this particular quantity function defined on x such that the following axioms hold. So first axioms of norm linear space that I am going to denote by n1. So I am telling that if x is any element, so if you put inside this notion, then that is always greater than 0 for all x belongs to the linear vector space. So you can take any vectors, and after that you can put that vector inside this real valued function. So that is always greater than equal to 0, and x equal to 0 if and only if x is the 0 vector of that particular set or that particular linear vector space. So since concept of 0, we know that what is the concept of identity in case of linear vector space. So whenever I will see that identity, then only this function gives the 0 value. That is the first property. After that, second property is like this: alpha x equal to alpha like this. So where alpha is some scalar, so this property will satisfy for all x. So you can take any vector from the linear vector space. So here vector may be of any matrix, any functions, that is not only a column vectors, and for all alpha. So whenever we are defining linear vector space, always there is certain kind of underlining field. So I am assuming that alpha for time being a real number, because I have already seen that almost all engineering problem that is related to the real number. Sometime for analysis we are also using complex number, so that may be of complex number. Then this inequality holds, equality holds, and after that I have third property, and that is again this. So I have like this, where x for all x and y. So here I have y that belongs to the same vector space, and if you see this function, so this function is nothing but called norm. So the norm on a non-linear space is a natural generalization of the length of a vector on R2 or R3. So I will come to that point on the later part of the discussion. Before that, try to understand the axioms. So try to see the first axioms about the norm, or we are telling that real valued function. So first axioms n1 states that only the zero vector has zero length, and that every vector other than zero vector has positive length. So that is the meaning of the first axioms. Now let us come to the second axioms. So axioms n2 states that if a vector is scaled by a scalar may be real number or complex number, then the length of vector gets scaled by multiplying it by the magnitude of the scalar. That is the properties, that is the meaning of second axioms. So if you scale your vector by alpha, same kind of things are going to reflect on the right hand side. And the condition, third condition, is known as the triangular inequality, and states that the length of the sum of two vectors is no larger than the sum of their lengths. That is the meaning of the third axioms. Now, once you understood these axioms, so let us try to see some examples of the norm linear space. So let us try to start the linear vector space where vectors are in form of column. So now I am going to talk about the examples. And here linear space, so here inside linear space I have vectors. So I have vectors are in form of column, and you may have seen that in whenever I am representing any system. So suppose that if I am talking about the autonomous system or non-autonomous system, you can write, that doesn't matter. So this is the non-autonomous system. At that time I am writing like this: x belongs to Rn. So basically what I am telling, that whatever state of this particular system that is denoted by x, that is nothing but like this: x1, x2 and xn. And I am talking about the generalized map. So you can see that here for each and every system I have different value of x1, x2 and xn. And if you put all systems together, then that is going to form a class that is called class of non-autonomous system, where state vectors are in form of columns. So I am going to talk about that column vector. in these examples. So linear space is the space where vectors are in form of column. So all next example I am just going to talk about the column. After that I will consider the vector in form of matrix, and after that I am again going to consider the vectors in form of functions. So if you see the right hand side here, then vectors are in form of functions. So at present I am not going to talk about that. I am just going to talk about the space of the state vectors you can assume. And here also one can interpret x1, x2 and xn. If you see individual function, x1 as the function of time, x2 as a function of time, xn as a function of time, but for some particular time this is nothing but some kind of real data, means it contains some kind of real number. So in first several examples I am going to talk about this space, and here the scalar. So whenever we are talking about linear space, so I have vectors, I have a scalar, so I am going to talk about a scalar. A scalar is nothing but real number, so I am going to talk underlining field is real number, and I am going to take the, somehow I am talking about addition and multiplication of real number. So what we are telling, that whatever vectors, so if I add two vectors, then their addition is the classical addition, and if I scale out the vector, their multiplication is again belongs to the classical multiplication over the real numbers. So this is our space. So now I am going to define the definition of distance in that particular space, and I have already told you that definition of distance or definition of norm, only restriction is that should satisfy the three properties. So I have several different notions. So let us start with the first one. So in first example, I am going to consider the linear vector space Rn, means each vectors in form of column together with the function, because in order to define norm linear space I need two quantity, and I am defining this function like this. So I am putting this symbol. I will tell you that why I have put the infinity symbol here, and I am assuming that is going to map to some kind of positive real number, and now I have to define this. So, and this is defined by, so this is defined like this. So I have max over all I, and here you can see that I will vary from 1 to n, and I have xi. So if you see any vectors in this space, so x belongs to x, so basically this vector x in this form x1, x2 and xn of this form, so xi is basically x1, x2 and xn anything. So in this way I have defined the function. So whenever some vector is going to encounter, then I am going to select the maximum value of the element. It means that suppose I have some vector x, then I will see each and individual vectors in terms of magnitude, and I will select the largest quantity. That is the interpretation. So now let us try to see the properties or axioms. So you can see that whatever function I have defined that satisfy first property, because here you can see that during definition I have used the concept of absolute value. So even if I am defining some function like infinity means somehow we are talking about maxima, but still I am going to take help of the absolute value. Due to that reason, I have whenever I was dealing with the metric space, at that time I have told you that is the one of the most important example. Because suppose that if I have to calculate anywhere norm of some quantity, then again I have told you that whenever we are implementing something, then I need one hardware circuit, and after that I need some kind of software program. So here you can see that my hardware circuit is somehow, if that is able to manipulate the absolute value, then using software program I will check the maximum value, and after that I will direct that maximum value, or you can also interpret like this: I will send x1 as that particular hardware and calculate the absolute value. I will again send x2 to that particular hardware and collect the value, and after that I will compare all the value. So primitive element is the absolute value, because most of time whenever we are defining any machine, then we want to keep our hardware as small as possible or as minimal as possible. So due to that reason, if my underlying field is real number, then in order to define any kind of function, I am going to take help of the absolute value only. So first condition of norm is obvious, and second condition, that if I scale this x by alpha, then automatically each vector is going to scale by alpha. So maxima, whatever maximum that is going to comes into picture, again that is a scale by alpha. So second property is also satisfied. I am not going to write each and every step mathematically, because I think that is obvious. Now let us try to see the third property. So third property is little bit crucial. So that is triangular inequality. So that is not obvious. So due to that reason, I am going to talk about the third property. So to verify N3, suppose vector x is x1 up to xn transpose and y, that is y1 to yn transpose, and both belongs to Rn. So this also belongs to Rn and this also belongs to Rn because we have column vectors. And we know by the triangle inequality, in case of the real number, for real numbers, that is nothing but xi plus yi. During the first example of metric space we have already seen, so I have not proved that because this is very obvious. So this is true for all I if I have this is absolute value. Now using this property, so underlining mapping is just the absolute notion of absolute value. Due to that reason I have recalled this inequality. Now let us try to see in our definition. Suppose that now I have x plus y and I am going to define this function, then that is nothing but maximum over I and xi plus yi. So I have to take individual vectors, I have to do addition, and after that I have to take the maximum. So now right hand side is nothing but that is same like the absolute value. So I can also write max over I xi plus max over I yi. So this is obvious. And if you see this particular quantity, that is nothing but I have, because I have used a small x, so infinity, and this is y infinity. So in this way I have proved that third axioms is also satisfied. Now what we have observed, that I have pairs and the pair is Rn, and with definition of this norm, and this norm is called infinity norm. So basically let us talk about the people are denoting this as a L, and in order to define this norm, so I am going to talk about this norm. So this is a remark about L infinity norm, and I hope that several times you have used this kind of concept. So L infinity norm is the pair that is Rn together with this. So this is the space, so this is the norm linear space, and in this norm linear space, the norm, whatever norm I have defined by max over xi is called the L infinity norm, on Rn. So this is the mathematical definition. Now let us try to understand the physical significance of this particular norm, L infinity norm. So what we have observed, so let us talk about one observation. So I am talking about the physical significance of L infinity norm. So for time being I am going to forget about the space. I am just going to talk about the L infinity norm. So if you see the L infinity norm, that this norm gives the largest magnitude among each element. From the definition we have understood this element of a vector. So suppose that I have some vector x equal to -6, 4, 2, something like this. Then L infinity norm is nothing but it is equal to +6 by from the definition. So I have to check the absolute value. So negative of absolute value of negative of -6 is 6, and after that I have to take the maxima. So what is another kind of interpretation? Suppose that you are going to construct one building, and obviously suppose that you have n number of building in some particular area you have to construct, and you are planning to construct 5 different blocks. Now somehow you have to minimize the cost, or whatever budget you have, that budget is not allowed to construct the whole in whole space. Then how to minimize the cost such that that will fit inside your budget? So you have to take the help of L infinity norm. You have to take the L infinity norm, means that will talk about the largest one, and just you have to drop that. Then whatever remaining thing, then you have to check that will fit inside our budget or not. If that will not, again you can just find the maximum one and again drop it. In this way I can apply L infinity norm to minimize the expense of the building. So I am going to write same thing in L infinity norm. Only the largest element has any effect. So for example, if your vectors represents the cost of constructing a building by minimizing L infinity norm, we can reduce the cost of the most expensive building. So this is just for visualization. Now let us move to the different norm. So I am going to maintain the same space. So a space again is nothing but the space of column vectors, and that is Rn. But now I am going to change the definition. So consider once again the linear vector space, and again that is in form of column vectors, but this time with the function, and definition of function is like this. Rn to R plus such that I am defining this quantity like this. So I have x1, I am defining like this, I equal to 1 to n, and basically that is xi. So here x is x1, x2 up to xn. So what we are telling that here, if I have vector in Rn space, then I will collect each and individual vector, and then I am going to take the summation of all the vectors. So now again you can check the first property. So first property, that this is always positive, so sum of absolute values is always positive. If you scale this vector by alpha, automatically every element will scale out, and finally alpha will come out. Due to that reason, second inequality is also second axioms is also satisfied. Now let us talk about the third one. So again, suppose I have two element x, y that belongs to Rn, then I can able to write x plus y, and I am going to apply this kind of function. Then one can see that from y equal to 1 to n, I have xi plus yi, absolute value of this, and from the property of absolute value, I can again write that as a xi plus yi. So finally I can again write that summation of I equal to 1 to n xi plus summation I equal to 1 to n yi. So that is nothing but I have same kind of notion. And here again you can see that in order to define this function, I have taken help of the absolute value only. So you have to always keep this kind of things in your mind, that whatever the last manipulation I am going to do, that is nothing but the absolute value only. So just you have to define hardware circuit that is in form of absolute value, that is able to calculate the absolute value, and next things just you have to interpret your vector and send that vector to that absolute value. So in this way I can able to calculate all different kind of norm using same machine. So let us try to write the property of this example. So again I have remark norm. So in this particular form of definition, I will get another norm that is called L1 norm, and here the pair that is Rn together with this notion of real valued function is also a non-linear space, because we have already proved that all three properties are satisfied. And whatever norm I have defined in this space, that is called the L1 norm on Rn. So what we have observed, that even though the underlying linear vector space is the same, means in first case also I have Rn, in second case also I have Rn, but the norm linear space are entirely different. In one space I am defining norm that is the maximum among the all element, and second one, in second space I am defining the norm that is the addition of each and every individual element of the vectors. So spaces are totally different. So you can interpret like this. Since somehow whenever I am talking about the norm, I am talking about the size of vectors. So either you can measure the size means somehow you can also interpret distance from the origin. So one can, in case of the distance, you may have seen that sometime I am measuring distance in terms of millimeter, centimeter, kilometer, like this. Similarly for norm, I have different notion. So at least till now we have explored two different kind of notion. So first one is L infinity norm, second one is L1 norm. So although I have to measure length, but I can use different measuring unit. Similarly, space is the same, but I am using different notion of the norm. Now let us try to see the some kind of physical interpretation of this particular norm, that is called L1 norm. So let us talk about the interpretation. Then you are able to visualize physical interpretation. So basically this particular L1 norm, I am talking about L1 norm. This is also known as taxi cab norm. Also known as taxi cab norm. And what we have observed that L1 norm is the sum of the magnitude of the vectors in a space. So now let us try to see that, suppose that I have some vector and I am going to represent that vector by some x, that is 3 and 4, and that is again column vector in this space, that is R2. So if you try to interpret this, it is the most natural way of measure the distance between vectors, means L1 norm, that is the sum of absolute difference of the component of vector. And what we are telling that, suppose I have vector like 3, 4, then that is nothing but I can interpret like this. So I have R2 space, so I am going to take two bases, and after that what I am telling that I have this length, so use different color to show this. So I have certain point here, that is 3, 4. So this distance from here to here I am showing by bold line, and after that this from here to here. So basically I have this distance plus this distance, and this is the 0 0 vector. So somehow I am calculating distance from 0 0 to 3 4, and what we have observed that in this norm, in order to calculate distance from 0 0 to 3 4, I have given equal weight to each and every vector. So 3, then I will move to 3 unit from here to here, and after that I will move from 4 unit, and in this way I can calculate the norm. And if you calculate this number, then x1 is 3 plus 4 equal to 7. So as we have observed in this figure, the L1 norm is the distance that travel from 0 0 to 3 4, and in this same way, if you see that if you pick up some taxi from this point 0 to 0 0 and you have to move to some another location, that is 3 4, then taxi driver first will take this route, and after that they will take this route. Suppose that there is no direct route from 0 0 to 3 4, then most of time they are following this route. And if you see the Ola application and everywhere, most of time in order to calculate the distance from one point to another point, they are using the L1 norm most of time. Due to that reason, this norm is also called taxi cab norm. Now let us try to see the next one, and now I am going to generalize. So now next example, so again I am going to consider the same space. So consider once again the linear vector space Rn. So again each and every vector in this space in the form of column, but I am going to change the notion of the function in that space. So somehow I am changing the different measure of the distance, that is the physical interpretation. Rn to R plus, defined by, here R plus means I am just considering the positive value, and I can define this function like this, x p. So I am going to generalize summation I equal to 1 to n xi p and power 1 by p, where p is any number in interval 1 to infinity, and 1 is also included, infinity is also included. So now first I have defined L infinity norm, after that I have defined L1 norm, and you can see that after that I am going to generalize it. And here again, if you see the right hand side, then I have used the concept of the absolute value. So I am not deviating my attention. And in another way, suppose that if you have to calculate the generalized norm or any kind of norm, then just you have to make one hardware and after that just you have to write the software program to understand the different norm. So lastly, you have to manipulate just the absolute value. There is no need to worry about the another hardware circuit in order to calculate the norm. Now again, once I will define it, then I have to check all the property. So it is possible to show that first and second property is very obvious. Third property is little bit involved, but in this course I am not going to drive the whole property, because these kind of things are means well-known proofs are available in any mathematics book. So just you can take help of that in order to show that third property is also satisfied. And this norm has again some name, and this is called LP norm. So let us write this norm as a this norm space. So first in form of remark I am going to write. So let us try to write the norm linear space. Norm linear space. So LP here, LP norm linear space I am talking about. So basically again I have this space, and norm now I am going to define by this way. And the norm, this is called the LP norm on Rn. So now just you have to change the value of P, and in this way I can generate infinite many different notion of the norm in the same space. So this is very important, means whenever we are defining norm, at that time we have to consistent, or we have to talk about the space, because if I will change the space, whatever way I have defined the norm, that may or may not be valid. So first I have to fix the space, and after that I can change the notion of different norm. So one more norm is basically we are using in the several places, and during our trigonometry or during our coordinate geometry, most of time we are using that. So I am going to discuss that also. So example, and now since I have talked about generalization, so just you can put P equal to 2, then it is possible to show that I have, this is the 2 norm in the same space Rn. So I have xi power half. So this norm has some specific name, which is generally called the Euclidean norm, and space is same Rn. It is also called the L2 norm on the same space Rn. And let us now try to see the physical significance of this norm. And this is the most popular norm, because I have already told you that during our school time we have generally using this kind of norm to define the distance from some point to the origin. And basically it is the shortest distance to go from one point to the another. That is the physical significance of this particular norm. So what we are telling, again you can recall the previous example. So in previous example I have taken some vector x, that is 3 and 4, and what we have observed that I have one norm, that is the summation of these two distance. So this is 3 and this is 4. So meaning of L2 norm is this distance from here to here. So because if you see the shortest distance from 0 to 0 to this is the shortest distance. So that shortest distance I can use with the help of the L2 norm. So basically that is nothing but 3 square plus 4 square equal to 5. So in this way I can interpret the different norms in the same space. After that, what I have told, that even if I have different notion of the norm in same space, but all space are entirely different. Okay, so using some kind of geometrical interpretation, it is possible to show that point in very clear way. So what we are doing, that I am going to make some kind of geometrical figure in R2 space, and after that I am going to compare the all three norms, means L1, L2, L and L infinity. And after showing that figure, it is possible to visualize that although the space is same, means that is R2, but different norm is going to cover the different spaces. So in this example I am going to draw the unit balls with respect to L1 norm, L2 norm and L infinity norm. So what is meaning of unit ball? We are assuming that I have some vector x, and if I calculate the one norm, then that is equal to 1 norm, then again that is equal to 1, and similarly if I calculate the infinity norm, then also that is equal to 1. And here x is R2. So basically I have some vector x that is of this form, x1, x2 in this particular space. So basically my space is R2 and I have 3 different norm, and now I am going to draw the space covered by L1, L2 and L infinity norm. So let us start with the definition of L1 norm. So this is our axis, 2 axis. So suppose this is x1 and x2. So if you calculate one norm, at that time I have this kind of condition equal to 1, and if you see the area cover, so I have to mark 4 points in order to draw this absolute value. This is 0 1, this is 1 0, this is minus 1 0, and this is 0 minus 1, and after that I have to just add the all 4 points. So I have this, and after that I have this and this. So basically this much area is covered by the L1 norm. Now try to draw the L2 norm. So figure is not so much perfect, but you can just visualize it like this. Now let us come to the second one, that is about the L2 norm. So I have x1 square plus x2 square equal to 1. That is nothing but shape is like the circle. So basically I have, again that is going to touch the 4 points, that is minus 1 0, 0 1, 1 0. So this point is I have written the wrong coordinate. So basically this is 1 0, this is 0 1, and this is 0 minus 1. So this much space I can write x1 square plus x2 square. If I will write less than equal to 1, then I can tell that this much space is covered. And after that I have third one, that is the L infinity norm. So you can again draw the one-dimensional, two-dimensional space, and at that time you have to do like this. So if you draw this particular quantity, then you are able to get this kind of shape. And again this point remains the same. So what we have observed that although all space are R2, but if I will change the notion of the norm, then what happens? Using that norm, I am just able to cover different portion. Geometrically, I am going to cover different portion. So based on your application, you have to define your norm in some more proper way. Suppose that if you have to cover this kind of space, then at that time L1 norm is more proper than L infinity norm, like this. So this is just three different figure, but I have already talked about the generalization. So if you use generalized LP norm, then I have infinite many different space that can be covered using different notions of the norm. And in the higher dimensional space, it is very difficult to draw all norms, but at least these three are very simple. So I can draw and visualize the space, means how much space is going to cover by this particular norm. In next class, since all three norms are defined in the same space, so one can obviously assume that there exists some kind of relationship between L1, L2, L infinity, that is same like this. Suppose that if we are measuring the distance in meter, kilometer, centimeter, decimeter, whatever, but all are correlated. So that kind of things I will discuss, and after that I will now change the linear vector space, and I will consider that vector space where each and every vectors in form of matrices and function, then how to define or how to generalize this norm. That kind of things I am going to talk. One more important point I am going to highlight here, that in higher dimensional space, suppose that you can just take column vector. So if I will tell 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are two different column vector, then it is very difficult to compare that which vector has bigger, which is larger. So most of time I have to come to the one dimensional space to compare, and somehow norm, if we are defining norm, we are mapping any function from Rn space to R space, and in R space, one dimensional space, I can compare. So due to that reason, means whenever we are doing error analysis or any kind of things, first I have to convert my n dimensional problem into one dimensional problem. And why we are doing that? In order to do the comparison. So with this remark, means I can also write that this as a note, comparison most of time, but one can tell that comparison may be possible in higher dimensional space, but it is easy to compare things in one dimension space. So comparison is easy in one dimensional space and using notion of norm we are able to map and dimensional quantity in one dimension therefore one can interpret the norm as a tool to convert higher dimensional problem to lower dimensional. Higher dimensional problem to one dimension, and that is the one of the most important beauty of this notion. And with this remark I am going to close the today's lecture. So thank you very much.